And the goal here today is to offer you some, straight from the horse's mouth is the wrong metaphor here. From the experts, a little bit of knowledge about next year's course selection. Next month is February, right around the corner. February is basically the month in which teacher recommendations are made, as you remember, no doubt. And March is basically the month for further discussions between parent, child, and teacher in case there's a question about an override or not. After which overrides are not possible after, I think, April 1st or so. And so we have an order which will go. A couple people couldn't be with us. And Tina Bozeman from Health and Fitness is going first because she has something new to unveil. And we're going to try to, in the interest of getting these guys back to their normal work day, 5 minutes and maybe a few questions at the end. Yeah. Ms. Bozeman.
Good morning. I had the opportunity to meet most of you prior to the start of the session, so thank you for being here and for weathering the weather this morning to join us. As Scott mentioned, I'm the coordinator for K-12 physical education and fitness, but we're here to talk about opportunities for your child for next year as seniors. And I'd like to begin with a course that we are awaiting approval from the school committee, and it's called Advanced Wellness. So in the 9th grade, your child took a course called Integrated Health and Fitness, of which we're changing the name to Lifetime Wellness for the second year. That course is a very basic health education course. Students have it only for a semester, and that is the extent of health education that they get in high school. So as I moved here from Nashville, Tennessee last year, you might not have recognized my Southern accent, but nevertheless, I had students to approach me. I attended seminars and summits where I heard students plead for additional health education, and literally saying things such as, we need more health education. We need to know about these things prior to going to college. So because of that, and of course I, as you might expect, was in total support of additional health education. So I put together a committee. We have put together a proposal for school committee to have a course only for juniors and seniors beginning next fall. We hope to offer it each semester, and it's called Advanced Wellness. It will essentially be an advanced health education course that is age and developmentally appropriate for juniors and seniors. So again, that's pending approval. We expect that will pass, and that will be an option for health and fitness credit next year. So essentially, the course will be 2 days in the classroom for literally health education content and skills, and 2 days in a fitness area where they participate in things such as yoga, Tai Chi, and other mindful movement kinds of activities. Let me talk about other fitness courses that are available to your child next year as a senior. We have the goal in health and fitness that we want to equip students to have the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors to be physically active and healthy for a lifetime. We are not in the business of team sports, which is kind of an old school thought about physical education classes in high school. We have amazing athletic programs at the high school, so we feel those are available for students, but we provide students with opportunities to learn about how to be active throughout their lives. For that reason, our course selection includes things such as rock climbing, and swimming, and tennis, and personal fitness, such as strength training and conditioning in our fitness center. We have spin classes. I like to say we have courses that are free to you in high school, and people pay a lot of money for those courses once they get into the community and out of the school setting. So those are some of the courses. I will tell you we have 10 sections of yoga that we offer this year. Every section is at lid, and many of those are above lid. So I could offer 15 sections of yoga, and they would be filled every year. So students love our yoga classes. I'm very pleased to be a part of a very strong team at the high school. Wonderful professionals who take their jobs very seriously and have pride in what they do. That is what we have to offer at the high school for your child, and certainly check the course catalog for other specific courses. But is this an opportunity for questions or what?
I think we have time for your questions among us.
Okay. Yes.
So you said this is available for junior and senior year. Is it like same as freshman year when you have it as compulsory class?
I'm sorry, repeat the last part. It's like freshman year, but
where you have the physical education as compulsory subject, or
Yes, so that would be the equivalent of our proposed advanced wellness course, but the other fitness courses, this is a great question, thank you, it's an important point. Our fitness courses meet only twice a week, and the fitness courses of which I just described are simply fitness-based, activity-based, they're not the health piece. The only junior-senior course that would have a health component would be the advanced wellness course. So thank you, great question. Yes.
The courses that meet twice a week, would they be compatible with an AP Science, where both blocks are, the AP Science at work?
The answer is yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's designed just that way, actually.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions for me? Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Tina. Mr. Weiser's wandering around somewhere. We'll have to dig him up, but if in his absence, I don't want to from world language and take his spot.
All right, hi, my name is Dr. Rola. So some of you probably have been at Brooklyn High School for a few years. So I'm going to start with the quiz, because after all, you're like parents of juniors. So how many languages do you think we have at Brooklyn High School?
Oh, they have no idea.
Several.
Pretty close, I would say. Less.
6.
Less. 5. Okay, 5 languages. So we have Chinese, we have Latin, we have French, we have Spanish, and we have Japanese. And many of the students are maybe already engaged in the language, and so typically what they do is continue with that language and discuss with their teacher, what is the best next course level for them. And that's going to happen very soon after mid-years. If your child from, sometimes children come here and take LL for a few years, and then by the time they're juniors, they're ready to start another language. You can either have a placement if your child already speaks a language that we offer, but maybe not at a native level. So we can find if there's a good course for your child, or for some other reason. So in any case that you're not sure exactly where your child should go into a language, just make an appointment with me, and we'll schedule that. It takes about 45 minutes, and we can help with the process. How many years does your child need to, what language does your child need to graduate from high school? 3 years? 2 years. 2 years of the same language, consecutive years. So really important if this year was the first year that they continue next year. Most colleges, however, are really interested in seeing that your child has had at least 3 years of a world language. So I really encourage all of the children to take at least 3 years. And the vast majority of students at the high school take a language for all 4 years, which makes sense because that's how you become proficient, comfortable in the language, and you can actually do something when you travel around or you speak that language. So let's see a few questions that people ask. Can my child take 2 languages? Well, it's a conversation to have with the guidance counselor to make sure that they match all the other requirements, particularly 3 years of elective. So if they have met all their requirements, then sometimes the schedule will let them start a new language as a senior or continue their 2 languages throughout. So a question to have. Let's see, what else do I have here? There's a course that we like to run, however, last year we were not able to because there was not enough enrollment, so I want to bring it to your attention. It's really important if your child is interested in medical interpretation in Spanish, that they let their counselor know ahead of time or their teacher in Spanish. Last year we had, I think, only 12 students who signed up for it, so unfortunately we couldn't really run it. But I'm hoping that next year we'll offer it. If your child signs up for that course, make sure you have a backup plan as well, just in case the same situation happens this year. And other than that, we have a World Language Support Center that runs on every day except Friday, either before school, after school, or during X block. So, if your child is also we have done some guest speakers, so guest medical interpreters who come to the school and speak to the students about what they've done. And we have a few other ideas of perhaps not into the hospital, but maybe retirement home where there are Spanish speakers and help them either take out paperwork or help them with some of their medical, I would say with medical needs, but help them translate some of their questions.
Are they running sort of math terms in Spanish?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really a combination of science course and a Spanish class. So they learn a triad where one person would be the doctor who's speaking English, one person would be the patient who would be speaking in Spanish, and then the third one is the interpreter and how to translate that. So they learn a lot of vocabulary. They also learn about how to keep confidentiality, how to also stay very close to whatever the doctor or the nurse is saying. You can't insert your own opinions when you're in a situation like this. So it's really a mix.
Is it a lot of Spanish? Are they speaking Spanish for the majority of the time?
Oh yes, I mean it's mostly heritage speakers and students who finished AP Spanish who take that course. You need to have a very, very advanced level of Spanish. But we found we've had some years where we had even students in that situation, and so yes. All right, well thank you very much.
Let's see what that one. Edward?
Josh, you can do it.
Very good.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. My name is Josh Harris. I'm head of the math department. So I'll talk about some math options for senior years and different things we have going on. So, I mean, in math, basically, your child will do a certain math course, and then next year they'll go on and take the next course in that same level, wherever they are. So this year, juniors, for the most part, or the majority of juniors, are doing some sort of recalculus or trigonometry, and then next year they'll finish with, the majority of kids will take some sort of calculus course, and we also have a couple of different statistics courses. So all the different levels lead to a calculus course, and then we have both statistics and AP statistics. So that's generally what kids do. A couple of things to note. We have a couple of other options that I'll talk about for senior year. We started this year a couple of computer programming courses that are taught by math teachers. Students can take those for math or career and tech ed credit, whichever one they want, but they're taught by math teachers. So that course can be kind of a second math course if they're looking for something like that. There are 2 semester courses. One of them is on teaches Snap, which is a sort of a block-based computer programming course that's used in a lot of game creation, and then Python, which is a language-based computer programming course that's used in a lot of app development and other applications. It's been really successful this year. Both we have 2 sections of each, and they're both all full, and it's going really well. So we hope to offer more sections next year, as I personally think every kid should leave Brookline High School having some knowledge of what computer programming is all about in this 21st century. Another senior course we have is called Perspectives of a Mathematical Mind. The majority of kids in this course are taking it as their second math course. Perspectives is kind of a topics course, so it talks about how math is related to art, music. It looks at the history of the development of mathematics. It does a lot of work on problem solving. And then at the same time, it works on some sort of more abstract college level math topics, such as non-Euclidean geometry and game theory. So it's kind of a mix. So it's an unleveled course. We have kids who are taking AP calculus that are in there, and we have kids taking some of our more lower level math courses that are in there as well. One thought you should keep in mind, there is a tendency to want to kind of take lots of courses senior year as kids are preparing for college. And that's great. Colleges I know want to see sort of a challenging program for the students. but what I caution you and them in over-programming themselves. And where I see it a lot is kids take double up in like an AP Calculus and AP Statistics course. And they're like, yeah, that should be fine. And they don't realize that these are 2 AP math courses and require a lot of work. And applying to college, and maybe Mr. Bouchard will be talking about this, that's a course. I mean, that takes as much time in the fall, anyways, as the amount of time that kids spend on any of their courses. So there's already an additional course there, while kids are trying to get the best grades they can. So I love people taking lots of math. That's great. But too often what I see is kids overloading, and then in October they're coming to me and dropping one of them, which isn't great for them and not great for us as we're building our sort of program. Changing levels. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. If if your student is in a certain level and wants to kind of eat, maybe it hasn't gone as well as they had hoped and want to ease off on a level, they can certainly do that. If your student is looking for more challenge, they can also move up a level. Depending on where they are now, that might require some additional work in the spring or over the summer to make this, to prepare to make this jump. Especially in regards to what I just said about senior year, you don't want, it's great to try on some added challenge, but you don't want to go into that unprepared. And so if you're in a place where you think, your student wants to make that move, they should be talking to their teacher about what they should do to prepare in the second semester of this year. And again, perhaps involving some summer coursework.
Josh, is it true as I believe that there's nothing offered in our own summer school that would serve for kids this age to jump a level?
For the most part, except there's one place where they can, which is if our sort of college prep junior level course is called Trigonometry and Analysis. That course leads to a course called Foundations of Calculus in 12th grade. That's our non-AP calculus course. If they want to jump up to, say, AP calculus, then they can do a summer school course called Pre-Calculus. And so that will cover some additional topics that they need to get ready to do an AP level math course senior year. But we should, students shouldn't do that without talking with their teacher. It's for kids who really are excelling at that college prep level in 11th grade and are ready for that additional challenge. Because again, it doesn't do anybody any good if they're trying to make a jump and not ready to do so academically. Okay, so I think that's what I got. Any questions? Yeah?
Does that IMP projected
Oh, IMP, yes, thank you very much. Good question. Yes, it does. So students, for the most part, start at IMP 2 in 10th grade, IMP 3 in 11th, and then they finish with IMP 4 in 12th grade. They can also double up in a statistics course, and depending on the kid, on the student, a calculus course as well, although IMP 4 does do calculus in 12th grade, so it's somewhat redundant. But yes. Interactive math program. Yeah. It's for kids starting in 10th grade, so if they're not in it starting in 10th grade, it would be really challenging to move into it for 12th grade. It's like a somewhat alternative way to learn mathematics. Yeah?
What class did your child take if they're in trigonometry now?
They do Foundations of Calculus. Yeah.
Is there any other option for
So they can, many of them will do statistics as well. So the more traditional pathway is finishing up with sort of an algebraic calculus course, but many students want to pursue statistics instead. Your child should talk to their teacher about what that means. Generally, if they're not at all interested in a physical science, in pursuing a physical science in college, and maybe interested in more of the humanities or social science, statistics is a nice foundation to have.
Can I put a plug for that?
So
Sure.
actually, can I say that if they wanted to science in college, it would be calculus?
Yeah, that would be a...
And Foundations of Calculus is calculus?
Yeah, we call it Foundations of Calculus because trigonometry doesn't complete all of what goes into a pre-calculus course. So there's a couple units that they do at the beginning of the year to kind of finish pre-calculus, and then they begin then they do the rest of the year on calculus. So they're learning the foundation, like the foundations of calculus, the derivative and the integral. The other part of the foundations is having a very strong algebraic base to be prepared to do calculus. So I look at it as foundations in two different ways, and that course kind of does both of those. So the kids who complete foundations of calculus are ready to do an introductory calculus course when they get to college.
My plug for statistics is that my own son, number 2, is not a mathematical kind of guy. He made it through pre-calculus somehow. And then decided to take statistics, and it was so different that he succeeded very nicely, got 5 on the statistics AP test, too. So, that alternate path is something that we want to validate. That's very successful for a lot of kids.
Absolutely.
So I have a question about that. So could statistics be then the math class they take, or does that have to be?
No, statistics can be, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they
the majority,
that as-
the majority of kids in statistics, it's their only math class. Some of the handful are doubling up into statistics and calculus.
I see.
But the majority of them is their senior class. Yeah.
So, since we're on the statistics topic, as a scientist, I just want to say that the kids need statistics a whole lot more than they need calculus. So, unless you need AP Calc for your application for college, taking statistics is a really good idea. They will use it much, much more in their lives.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And just from that perspective, I mean, for the kids' well-rounded education, I mean, do you have a bias in thinking about statistics versus AP Calc?
I think like you said, statistics is used by, your students will use statistics in their lives and in their study probably a lot more than calculus, unless they're going to study, pure physical science. They need a lot of calculus, a base of calculus. So from that level, I think statistics is more valuable. The college application, the college admissions is not at that place. So when I talk to college admissions people, unfortunately they want to see, if they're going to take an AP course, especially, they want to see calculus over statistics.
What do they think about?
I struggle with what we're preparing kids for. I think we're preparing kids for the world, and if that were the case, then I would, recommend everyone take AP statistics or statistics. But we're also getting students ready for to transition to their next place of study, and if they want to get into a competitive school, AP calculus is helpful.
Of course, competitive is a relative term.
Yeah.
It's just, the guidance department and I will talk with folks a fair amount between now and next winter about competitive school. Yes, but it's right. You got to be right for your kid at the same time. Okay.
Well, we do pre-calculus in 11th grade.
Or the alternate
The foundations of calculus.
Yes.
Any type of calculus course will be very helpful in the college application process.
One more question about calculus. Is there a class between foundations of calculus and AP calculus, just like calculus?
No, foundations of calculus, that's what that is. It's just the name that we choose to try to describe it.
They just came up with that new name.
Just calculus.
Let's go forward to our next folks here. Any further questions you have, because math is always, fraught with questions about this and that.
He calls,
Direct,
email.
Mr. Barris likes these things. Ed, where are you going next? Or whoever needs to go next. Go next.
Yeah, I'm flexible.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenny Kozal. I'm the curriculum coordinator for the Performing Performing Arts Department. And so I'll just give you a little bit about the requirements of performing arts and what we do here at the high school. So all of the students at the high school need 3 elective credits. That's 3 full years of electives to graduate. And they can do that in 3 different departments: performing arts, visual arts, and career and tech education. And you are really supposed to, or for the most students are supposed to take at least 1 class in each of those 3 departments. However, there is something called a pathway. So if you are very passionate about music, you can do all 3 of your credits just in music. But you have to declare that it's a pathway and you're doing that specifically. More specific to the Performing Arts Department, our department consists of 3 different disciplines. It's music, drama, and dance. And something that's different from in our department, and I think in pretty much all the elective departments, is that our classes tend to be made up of students in multiple grades. So our students are more based on, or our classes rather, more based on experience level than they are on grade. So we frequently will have, our orchestra has freshmen or seniors in it, or our dance class, we have multi-level dance classes, so we have dance, beginning dance, intermediate dance, advanced dance, and those often in advanced dance class, freshmen use audition to get in because they have more experience dancing. So at the point of going into senior year, I encourage a couple things. One, make sure that you are on track to getting those 3 credits done, which is very important. You don't want to get to, second semester, senior year and realize, yikes, I need 2 credits. And the guidance counselors work with the students, so it's not all on the students. However, there's a lot going on, and guidance counselors have a lot of students and a big student load. So it's always good for you to make sure that your children have done their requirements. The other thing is, I would say that it's not all about the requirements. We offer wonderful opportunities both for students who are really passionate about music and drama and dance, or students who might just want to try something new and hopefully find out that they are passionate about one of these areas. Our classes range in all of our disciplines, in the 3 disciplines, our classes range from open to students with absolutely no experience to students who are more advanced. In terms of newer classes, I don't think we'll be offering any new classes for next school year. However, we have 2 new classes this school year. One which has begun, this is a full year class, so we know a little bit about that one, and the other that's about to start because it is running second semester. It's a semester-long class. So those 2 new classes are Advanced Chamber Orchestra. We have an orchestra here at the high school that has gotten up to about 85 students, so we felt it was time. And we had more students who wanted to get in. We didn't have space for them, so we decided it was time to add a second orchestra and then also be able to put that as an audition-in group, which we felt would help both the upper-level students, because we can focus on them, and students who may not be as advanced, so we can really give more attention to them as well in the other orchestra. And our other new course for this school year, which is about to start second semester, is called the Theater of Hip Hop. And that's a drama class. And the idea is to kind of draw on some of the elements of hip hop and really attract students who may be really into drama and may want to do this, or may be really into hip hop and say and through that use that as a vehicle to hopefully get them into drama and using their voice and finding their voice. So that's a little bit about performing arts. Questions?
Great, so clear. They have no questions.
All right, great. Thank you all. Yes, I also have a rising senior, so I'm going to say oh, really? You were supposed to do that before?
I didn't realize. Good morning, I'm Mary Burch, and I'm chair of the English department. Thank you for coming in on a Tuesday morning. And the fact that as junior parents you are here shows that you have at least a glowing ember of hope that your child will be open to your wise counsel and advice, which may be the triumph of hope over experience. But I will be here to talk to you about mainstream English classes and It's actually this is the easiest group to talk to because, for example, this year, junior year, your children in the mainstream had no choice. They took American literature, that was their only choice. Next year they have 9 choices. So they go from no choice to an embarrassment of riches. And just to review, our 9th grade year is sort of introduction to everything. 10th grade year is world literature, 11th grade is American literature. Hopefully by then we've given students a foundation in what, some basic reading, writing skills, some introduction to the literature we think is important. And then senior year is designed for them to pursue something that's of genuine interest to them. So we have lots of choices.
Their interests weren't ungenuine, they were.
No, of course, we all before that was also genuine, but now a particular pursuit of something in more depth, let's say. Okay. So I will just list them. It's too long to talk about each one because we have 9, but I will list them for you, and Dean Bouchard is going to send you a document which has a nice little quick blurb about each one to explain. But I'm happy to take questions about, especially about the more non-traditional ones that you might wonder. Yes.
Just does the 9 include
That is separate. Yes, I'm only talking about mainstream English classes. So your job's an SWS, so you can take a nap. All right, so the courses are True Life Stories, which is offered at the standard level, Stranger in a Strange Land, Honors, British Literature and Beyond, which is British and Post-Colonial Literature, Honors, Issues in Contemporary Literature, Unleveled, all the rest are unleveled, Craft of Writing Unleveled, Public Speaking and Public Writing Unleveled, Fiction and Film Unleveled, English for Entrepreneurs Unleveled, and then we have a special course, which is probably worth talking about separately, called EPIC, which is an interdisciplinary course, and it's called EPIC because it stands for something experiential, project-based, innovation, capstone. So let me back up for a minute before I talk about that. Senior year, every student writes a senior paper as part of their English requirement, and there are 3 choices of the kind of English paper they write. There's a traditional literary paper, which they've also had a lot of experience with in their previous courses. There's a creative option. They can do their own reading and write a short story or a collection of poems or personal essays. And so there's a creative option, and then there's an interdisciplinary option. So for a student who may have a particular passion in another discipline, they can do some reading in literature and combine it with some other element like psychology or statistics or interviews. So those are the 3 options. Again, it's allowing a student to pursue a particular area of interest. That's the theme. So I go back to EPIC because EPIC is a course which students can choose, and it's really the most student-centered option. So if you have a child who's doesn't love traditional education and kind of wants to form their own plan, EPIC allows them to do that. It trains them how to do their own projects, and then instead, in second semester, instead of doing the senior paper, they choose their own project and do it at the end, and then there's a big exhibition night where they reveal their project to the whole school community or whoever comes to that event. And it's a really exciting course, and they practice with many projects along the way. And, so a student who has a particular interest they know they want to pursue now, they want to spend their spring choreographing dance or building a table, or so it could be it could be anything. And if they already know they want to do that, it could be a great choice. If they don't know exactly what they want to do, but they know they want to do something that is not the traditional English thing, it also is a good option because they take students who don't yet know what their project is, but might want to think about doing something independently. If you choose the EPIC options, the confusing part you won't have to remember because your students will know, but if you choose EPIC, you take another English course first semester. So you still are getting some of that traditional English, and then you drop it second semester and just stay in EPIC, and that's where you complete your project.
So that equals 1.5 credits when all is said and done?
Yes.
Wait, I'm sorry, so you need to take, are you taking 2 English?
First semester you're taking 2 English courses, or really rather you're taking an English course and you're taking this interdisciplinary course, which is training you how to do projects. Yeah.
So the So you said there are three choices, paper choices. Is he going to do disciplinary an option in any of the classes senior year? Okay. And then the other, just so stranger in a strange land. I know what my real question was. The learners that are coming, are they going to have some samples of what literature they may be reading, so the students can get an idea?
The best place to get the sample of books is probably in the course catalog. What you're going to
I
get.
see, that will say.
That will say. That will have a list of.
Okay.
The most recent iteration of what they were teaching. Yeah.
So you mentioned crafted writing, but you also mentioned a writing all communication class. So I'm guessing that crafted writing is more about creative, and they're all of it. There's more about convincing people.
Thank you.
But
Exactly.
can you?
That's well. That you just said. That's exactly right.
Okay.
So, public speaking and public writing is both about giving speeches and presentations and knowing how to use data and knowing how to use technology to help you with presentation. It's also about rhetoric and essays and how to, what sorts of argumentative techniques have been used in studying speeches and looking at rhetoric. Crafted writing is poetry, fiction, memoir. Yes? I was hoping no one was now that you have. Unleveled, the courses were really designed to attract students of all abilities who really had an interest in that particular thing. So the unleveled was a catch-all. If you're interested in this and you're willing to work hard, this is a good place for you to be. Exactly what it means in terms of level is it welcomes everyone. I would say it pitches sort of in the middle that's actually a bad way to say it. It tries to challenge everyone in the course where they are. That's a better way of saying it. So, for example, if you're in creative writing and you may not have perfected your grammatical skills yet, or you may have to be doing incredibly sophisticated things in your writing, you still are going to be challenging yourself in that class at the level where you are. And hopefully that is the case in all of those courses. So in terms, if you want an honest answer about, if this is really, I don't know if it's a college question or not.
So the question was, when she came here in 10th grade, she took her classes, it was honors and non-honors. Is it the same thing?
No.
Okay.
So there is no honors designation in those
But
courses.
it's a more student-centered focused class where the teacher's going to work more closely with the student to really focus on what they need to develop.
Yes, I would say
So
that's.
is it a smaller class?
No, a little bit, yes. It's smaller than the honors classes. So a standard level class is capped at 20, unleveled is 22, and an honors class is 25. That doesn't mean we don't usually go over those numbers, but that's
thinking about it, like if I want my kid to have more focus on their writing, I may say drop the honors piece, focus on the level, then you're going to get more potential or more small potential or something.
I can't guarantee tons of
With all reps in the morning, there's no guarantees whatsoever.
But yes, I mean, I would say that the teachers of the unleveled courses are willing to move students from whatever level they are into their level of challenge. So they do the best they can with the individual. Yes?
So you touched on, but didn't go forward with speaking to that as far as college.
Colleges see honors and that's it. So, I mean, if a course is standard or unleveled, it really doesn't make a huge amount. I don't know, is that a fair statement?
I would say that, for seniors at Brookline High School, we're a known quantity, both the English quality and the high school quality in general. Particularly non-level class does not indicate anything to a college that's any sort of take it down. I would say, Brookline High, they're so innovative and progressive with their curriculum in the first place that we don't need to worry about honors, levels, appellations for this, for seniors.
I've taught two unleveled courses here at the high school, and my experience has been that the courses themselves have been so interesting that students tend to talk about those in interviews or essays, or those are the things that actually push them further towards being an interesting candidate for a college. So even though it's not honors, it actually gives them an area of strength and interest that improves their application, improves their lives, we hope. Yeah.
I know it's a controversial question, but which of the courses would be more reading based and less writing from the senior options? For a senior
That's a good-
who doesn't like to write a lot, loves to read it but doesn't like to write a lot.
Then I would say Stranger in a Strange Land, British Literature and Beyond, Issues in Contemporary Literature, even fiction and film. Don't let your child say, oh, I'm going to just watch movies all day. Fiction and film has a surprising amount of reading in it. So even that course, it has a good amount of reading.
Thank you.
Anything else?
The presentation class.
Epic?
No.
Oh. Public speaking?
Yes. That seems like a really great class. It's, do colleges consider that an English requirement, even though
Yes.
pages as they do?
Yes, it definitely is an English course.
Right, but do colleges consider it an English course?
That's fulfilling
That is
the
fulfilling-
requirement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you, Mary.
Mind if I just
Change my computer?
Yeah, sorry for getting out of order, but I will show you something here. Sorry, Scott.
I can read this. I
And so all of us have, where to go? Way up top. Change resolution like crazy here. So I was at the Morning Health Center, that's the plug right there in the middle of the page here. Make it bigger. Helping out, there are a lot of kids there right now, so that was really good. I also want to alert you to the Twitter account that's kind of embedded right here. That's where I put a lot of my opportunities for students, and there is one opportunity here that's rare. It's below this plug for the Brookline Booksmith. They're having a theoretical physicist, kind of a celebrity, show up. But below that, summer internship, high-tech companies, just for kids who are going on, not for your kids this year, but in the future. It's weird. I have so many opportunities that come to me. The only way that I can really push them out is through the Twitter account, so feel free to look there. Other than that, the website isn't really looking the way it should for this season. We're just kicking off, so I thought I would just come here and show you the letter that I usually send out to the kids. Because it's very complicated in terms of all of the courses that we have in the science department. But now that Mary is gone, though, I will say that there are many students in this year. There are 3 students who are coming to me. One student, since I'm the science department and astronomy teacher, his epic project is making a radio telescope, DIY. And so I encourage him to make an array out of it. So he's going to maybe make several and put them around Brookline. We'll see what trouble we can get into. And a few others that have gone from science-based to computer science. So that epic course is really good for students who are interested in science as well. All of the courses that we have down the line, AP Physics 1 and 2, formerly known as AP Physics B, AP Physics C. The differences there have a little bit to do with the math involved, but also I like to think of AP Physics 1 and 2, formerly known as AP Physics B, as a broad range of topics applicable to students who are thinking about maybe pre-med, and kind of marrying that with biology and chemistry as opposed to physics and engineering. Then, of course, AP Chemistry, Biology 2 Honor. That is a course that is more project-based, where students design their own experiments. They try them out over a longer period of time. AP Biology, keep running down this way. What you might think of as classically in a college biology course. Environmental Science and Society, that's new this year, that was designed by the teacher and the students who are now first-year students in college in the AP Environmental Science course. So it is a better way to teach environmental science because you're not strictly held to the curriculum of the AP exam. And so this is really engaging a lot of students who have, they want to focus maybe more on the policies and environmental action, what they can actually do and accomplish and feel better about. Whereas this is definitely along the lines of the College Board curriculum. Both great courses, but different reasons why you might want to take them. I will highlight that this is the first course in my list that can be taken for standard or under credit. It's not the same as or non-level, so you can elect for honors credit. There. Same with anatomy and physiology. I was saying more about the human body, and then the other biology courses so far, standard and honor credit. Body, mind, honor. This is a course for students who are interested in biological underpinnings of mind. We go back to the top. Body practices. The topics include immunology, epigenetics, urology. This course is kind of legendary. We've been teaching it for many, many years. Several area physicians, Jerome Grootman wrote the book, The Adept, I hope that's another famous person. With Hogan, for crying out loud, I forgot. But Jerome, he studied how people have positive viewpoints and support systems and things like that, and they actually have better health outcomes. And so he's been a guest speaker with us, and he's been influential in creating that course. Sorry, above the gap here, we've got marine biology, standard and honor as well. The ocean and the environment that way. Right now, the marine biology class they have, so feel free to take a swing by the science department. They drew beautiful penguins, and they're just right up there along the wall, and they have little thought balls. Adorable. And right here, engineering by design. This is the engineering course that the 21st Century Fund, now the Innovation Fund, helped create. It used to be for seniors, now it's more for juniors, and which leads into our new flagship engineering course, Engineering Innovation and Design Honor. This one takes 6 periods per week, like AP courses do. So it's a little bit harder to schedule, but it's co-taught between Mr. Love, the engineering teacher, and Mr. McLaughlin, he's the sculpture teacher. And so it's much more along the lines of not just innovating things, and making them, and using our fancy equipment, laser cutters, 3D printers, all of that, but also to really design things and to have, they have artists from RISD come and critique the students' work. Pretty amazing. And astronomy, I just made this fit right in here. This course is for students who are interested in stars and planets. So I'm teaching that again for the second year. Semester courses, we have a few. They're interdisciplinary here. So drawing for understanding in field science, that's actually available to students of many different grades. It's a semester course that's taught by Dr. Shepkamp. She's an art teacher, and it was originally funded by the Innovation Fund as well, and was originally co-taught, but we've sent it over to UA Building exclusively right now, but you can take it for science credit. And then forensic science, standard and honor, and genetics, standard and honor. Sometimes this runs, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how many students were able to sign up for that. So that's the whole big picture. So I'll get you the questions.
I have a couple of questions. One is, so if someone took 2 semester courses, would that fulfill courses? Would that fulfill their science? Or is that not recommended?
The science requirement, generally speaking, will have already been met because it's only 3 years of science
for the high school.
For high school and for colleges as well. They've in math, you might have heard Mr. Burr say it's now 4 years for math schools. For science, it's 3 years of lab science. But they've already met that with physics, chemistry, math.
I see. So this is really open. And then we have a student who's a senior next year who is she's been a strong honors science student, and she's in kind of an art track that she's been doing. Would she be able to jump into the engineering, innovation, and design honors?
Absolutely.
Even though she didn't do the engineering by design?
Right. There are many on-ramps to that course, and since next year will be the second year that it's happening, the first one is not a prerequisite.
Okay.
The exclusive prerequisite form.
All right. Great.
Yes.
So you mentioned that all the AP classes are 6 periods. Does that include environmental science also?
AP environmental science, yes.
And is it possible to take, are the 6 periods of classes that it's possible to take 2 of them and actually leave them in that
extra period, or?
Yes, they dovetail nicely. So, so imagine A block with 2 B blocks, and then the other one would be C block with the other 2 B blocks. And we make it so that the students meet the teacher 5 days a week. And for any students who are in SWS, where the town meeting is F block, the other AP sciences are involved the F block, so it's D, H, and G. So, but it works by and large.
It does leave the issue for kids still taking health and fitness in school and not programming out to go to sport. These are 2 hanging periods for PE.
Also match up. Yeah.
Well, they would, unless you're taking 2 sciences and then you're stuck up 3 periods.
Yeah. It gets complicated, but we also keep that in mind, and some of the social justice courses also match up too, so we can maximize student schedules.
So I don't know if you said this or I missed it. The engineering by design, is it like just one level honors level, or is
So the engineering by design used to be called engineering by design honor, but we just wanted to make it more open to more kids, and so we did that by making the schedule a little bit easier for underclass students. So it's 4 periods per week, and it's non-level. But the engineering, innovation, and design, that one took on the honors designation.
this way as engineering years, I was just wondering, there is anything we can have if we ops or an AP level, if there is any?
There is no AP engineering. I don't think, yeah, a lot of the top schools haven't really formalized what an introductory engineering course looks like at universities, like the physics that people have. So, and I don't know if the College Board would ever honestly be interested in it too. It's a weird thing too. At the NCAA, they look at these courses a little bit differently. So because there's no textbook, it's not a rigorous course. It drives us crazy. But we did get NCAA approval for these courses because, well, we knew people. We wrote good letters. So they are bona fide science courses with or without that honors designation. So yeah, another question. Yes, sir.
Is it possible, schedule-wise and generally feasible for those students to take 2 or even 3 AP science courses as well as an AP math course?
It's rare that a kid could take 3 science courses because we have to make sure that other kids have their top choices. So what you need to do, this is a really good time for you to say, when students come up with their schedules, it's very important for them to come up with alternates. So for instance, if a student is thinking that they want a certain English course, but their alternate would be EPIC, they have to really think about how that would fit into the schedule. But then you might want to say AP Physics with an alternate being AP Chemistry, and then Astronomy with an alternate being Body, Mind, Honor. So you can attach those alternates to each class, and that will help you schedule them. So that, going back to what you were saying about the 3 sciences, if you want to sign up for 3 sciences, you may do that, but then think about what your schedule will look like and put the English class in with one alternate there, because it will be, if your priority is, say, AP Chinese, that might only have 1 block, and that might preclude you from other things. And so the computer tries to maximize the schedule for every single student, but the best way to do that is through those alternate choices.
It's hard for students to see because some courses have semester extra math work, and just schedule-wise, students.
Right. And so they'll go over that with their teachers to make sure that they're not over counting the courses. If that makes sense. But it's very difficult to schedule 3 AP sciences because that would take at a minimum 7 blocks right there.
2 is feasible.
2 is feasible, yeah, because that would take up 3. I mean, what am I saying? It would take up 5 blocks, not 7. It would take up 5 blocks, but I don't know how you'd be able to do that with English.
But it is a mask for this. A lot of the particular questions you might have, address them to Ed down the line. He's very good at conceptualizing how to have this happen. There's another question here, then we'll go on to Ms. Byron.
So, like, 2 questions. Is there overlap between biology and the environmental science and society class? That's my first question. The second question is, describe both the environmental science
Okay, so AP Environmental Science, the exam is pretty rigid. You know, they want you to know that you need to remember what the Environmental Protection Act of 1974 was. I think and you need to get that through that quickly. And there's more math involved. So there's a lot more statistics involved. And that was a great comment, sir, about statistics. We completely agree with you. That's a very difficult thing to get around because calculus is definitely a gatekeeper and statistics is more relevant to what people are doing these days. It's so accurate. But in AP Environmental Science, they do a fair amount of statistics as well. Whereas in the Environmental Sciences Society, the teacher is the same. So Dr. Brown does AP Environmental Science, she does Environmental Science and Society, and she does marine biology as well. So there is some overlap there. AP Environmental Science, I will say, the biggest disappointment for some kids is they have in their heads that it's the easiest AP. Couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of kids get very surprised by that. They're like, oh, wow, this is a very difficult course, and there's a lot of curriculum to get through, and the pace is very, very complex. Whereas in Science and Society, students will be able to take the time to really understand what climate change is, how it's impacting ecosystems, and also the political end of it. Whereas the AP Environmental Science, they go through global climate change pretty quickly. The Environmental Sciences Society is the entire environment, and they might briefly go into marine biology, but marine biology goes into the organisms and all of the ecosystems that are involved in.
So the society has a policy piece to it?
Yeah. Excellent.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Lastly, Ms. Meyer is going to represent the ACE program that you've probably heard of, and she's willing to stay for anybody who has further questions after her brief description of it. I would read one thing from Mr. Schiffman, because he couldn't be here, and he said to say, for seniors, look at the course catalog, there's all kinds of offerings. And then he said, the important part, social justice and global leadership are available to seniors, and the important thing was trust the teacher recommendations that you'll be seeing in a month or so, which I would reiterate.
That's about history?
History. Yes, thanks for clarifying. The left door.
Hey everybody, thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate your staying to the end here. I'm passing out a description of the ACE program, which is a new program at my high school. If you decide you don't think you're going to need this, you can just put it on the table as you leave today. That's totally fine. I won't be offended. I just wanted you to have this to look at while I'm talking because it gives you a lot of detailed information about how our program works, and it is very different from the structure in our mainstream school program. So ACE was created 3 years ago. This is our third year to offer a competency-based program option for students at VHS who are very curious and interested at students, but for whom the traditional structure may not be working for a whole range of reasons. It could be that students are feeling bored or restless in the way that the structure is they're experiencing the structure, or it could be that they have not succeeded and they're feeling discouraged and need to re-engage in their education. So we attract students across the spectrum, which is really wonderful because it's a great mix and it's an extremely diverse program. And we are also a non-level program. So when I say we're competency-based, the way we do it is when students come into the program, we give them diagnostic tests to assess their skill level and see where they are at. And then we place them in classes based on that, not based on how old they are or what grade level they're in. Because our feeling is that those are fairly arbitrary, and that what really matters is where they are at in terms of their skill and their ability, and that they should be at that learning curve and that point of challenge. So our classes are mixed. We do offer a full complement of courses that are very similar in terms of challenge and rigor as the mainstream courses, and you can see those on the back. We created our curriculum using the Common Core and the Massachusetts State rather focusing on themes and going in great depth. Our courses are only 6 weeks long, and students only take 2 of them at a time so that they can do that in-depth study. And that also allows them the chance, if they're not succeeding in that course, to take it again and not fail. So we actually don't have failure in ACE. Our classes are based on levels of competency, so students earn either a basic competent, which is the equivalent of a C, competent, which is the equivalent of a B, or highly competent, which is the equivalent of an A. If they don't meet a basic competent level, they're not able to show us that they have that level of understanding, then they get an in progress, which means they need to take it again. And it does not go on their transcript until they pass it. So that's how we work. We don't believe failure is a good thing for students. I think that it tends to discourage students so much that they lose interest in the topic and kind of give up. So our experience has been that this works really well for students who are maybe still curious and just need more time. We also have students who learn at a quicker pace and need to go faster. And so the 6 weeks allows them to go through material more quickly to meet their challenge level. This past year, we've expanded our options. So our acronym stands for Alternative Choices in Education, and that is because we like to offer a menu of ways that students can access the curriculum. So in addition to the 6-week classes, we also offer our own online classes, where we've taken the curriculum from the 6-week classes and we've adapted it so students can take it online. We also offer dual enrollment courses at Roxbury Community College. We do that because our feeling is, rather than offering AP courses, which simulate a college environment, we feel like it's better for students to have the real experience of being in a college class and actually earn college credits that they can then transfer. So we've had students already taking those courses successfully and getting the opportunity to be in a classroom with older students who are already very focused on where they're going with their education. And that has been very motivating for students. In addition to that, we have an internship program where students can do an internship in the community and earn academic credit. So they can actually do these internships during school hours in substitution of a class. And they work closely with a mentor around an interest that they may have. And they do a comprehensive project that is needed at that internship site, so it's authentic. And we look at the content of that project and trace it back to our benchmarks that we use in our content classes so that the students are earning the credit from those content benchmarks. So that's how that works in terms of them earning academic credit. We also do a version of EPIC. We've heard Mary talk about that course that students can take when they're seniors at VHS. Our version of that is called the Capstone Project. It's a 3-part course where seniors pick a topic that they're interested in. It usually has a social justice bent. That's just typically been what our students have been drawn to. They write a 10-page research paper on the topic that they choose, and they do a legacy project where they're designing something that will leave a legacy for the community around that issue. And that can be right here within VHS. It could be in Brookline, in Massachusetts. It could be global. It depends on the scope of what they've chosen. And they do a culminating presentation at the end of their senior year in front of their parents and our ACE community to officially graduate from the program. So those are some of the features. There's one more thing I will add, which is unique to our program and not something that's done in mainstream. We hold students accountable for what we call the habits of success. And what we did was we looked at 21st century learning skills that we think are important for students to have to be successful when they leave high school. And we thought, those skills, we really need to integrate them into school. We shouldn't assume that students are going to get those skills magically along the way. Some of them might, some of them won't, and we need to help support them and hold them accountable. So we've identified 7 of those skills. They're listed here under other unique features of ACE. And you can see we have goal setting, self-regulation, collaboration, self-awareness and reflection, perseverance, curiosity, and community-mindedness. So we engage students in a lot of self-reflection. We ask them to focus on one that they know they need to work on. They have to tell us how they're working on it and show us evidence of that. We have exhibitions 3 times a year where students have to show their work in front of their parents and reflect about what they've learned from their courses and in their advisory time. We do a lot of community building in our program, where we'll take kids out to do community service projects or trust building initiatives. We've gone to do ropes courses. We've done camping trips up in New Hampshire, all with the understanding that we believe those skills are just as important. If students are learning how to cooperate with each other, build trust with each other, communicate effectively with students who they may not normally gravitate towards, that those skills will also serve them well in their lives. So I know there was a lot to take in, and there's a lot in this tiny print on this page, but I'm happy to answer some questions. I also want to tell you we're having an information night for parents, and I'm inviting a number of ACE parents to be there so they can talk about their experience in the program, and you can hear directly from them testimonials. And I've left those handouts on the table if you're interested in grabbing one, and there's also a flyer for students. We're doing a lot of info sessions for students over the next month, really. Our deadline for the applications is not until March 2nd. Yeah.
Can the student take one course in ACE and all the others in mainstream?
No, they have to do all their academics in ACE. They do take their electives, their world language, and their PE courses in mainstream. So, that's a question we get asked a lot from the students. Will I ever see my mainstream friends? Am I going to be isolated? And they really don't feel isolated because they have 2 blocks a day that are aligned to the mainstream schedule. They happen to be A and D blocks, and they do take those courses I just mentioned and see their friends in those courses.
So if you have further questions for Amy, she's happy to ask a few more minutes at the end.
Yeah, you can stay. If you want to move up here, I'm happy to chat with you.
And I would just offer one somewhat side piece of wisdom for parents and rising seniors. I did want to say to Amy, folks can tell that something so well conceived offers a valuable alternative for kids who are not loving the mainstream experience. We've seen a lot of success for kids going today. So,
and you may have some hesitation about, is it too late for a student to transition senior year into this program? We have had plenty of seniors who transitioned senior year and done really, really well with us and ended their high school career on a high note. So I think it can be, a chance for students to have a fresh start as late as it is, and colleges like that. They like to see that story of a student who's really taken off. That the trajectory has been on an upward spiral rather than downward. And I can also tell you a little bit about college acceptances. We've had a lot of exciting college acceptances. I think the uniqueness of our program and some of the things that we offer, like the internships and the college classes, allow students to distinguish themselves from other applications that they get. Mary spoke about that a little bit earlier, but I think that is important, and it does set them apart from the myriad of applications that they get that look very similar.
Let me just hold your question for Amy. My final closing thing that I'm going to run down the meeting is a bit aside. So I just want to say, as I look around the room, that if it is true that this year here your student was successfully able to sustain 6 academic classes because he or she felt that was important for junior year, I would just put on the table that that model may not be so sustainable next year, because we see a lot of pushing for impressing colleges to the max semester 1, grade 12. And we also see the downside of that, which is, come the end of September, mid-October, I couldn't sustain it as I could last year because of college acceptances or being 18 or whatever it is. So I would just put that on the table for parents talking to their kids. Okay, all those things look great. Do you really want to be killing yourself next year as well? You might have done that all through grade 11. God bless them. I've been through this 3 times so far. Grade 12 is going to feel perhaps different for some of your kids. So you might just consider that, would 5 not be enough? Just a food for thought. Thank you. I'm going to run off. I'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thanks,